Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be very different from what I usually film. There's going to be no snakes, no spiders, no nothing in this one. So if you do watch my videos for the animals, this one's probably not going to be for you. So today I'm going to talk about my fibromyalgia, which is a condition I suffer with. So fibromyalgia is a long-term condition which causes widespread pain from the top of my head to the tip of my toes. It does come with a lot of other side effects. So people who suffer with fibromyalgia have an increased sensitivity to pain. We suffer with chronic fatigue, so we get tired very, very quickly. Our muscles get stiff. Even though we are tired constantly, we have massive issues sleeping. So a lot of people with fibromyalgia suffer with insomnia. Also, we get headaches, suffer from IBS, we get clumsy, got hot and cold all the time. Like, I'll go from quite nice and toasty in my t-shirt to freezing cold and need my dressing gown, like it's right behind me. We suffer with restless leg syndrome, so my legs are always twitching. I twitch a lot all over. I get pins and needles, so my feet normally go numb, so do my hands. That's why sometimes when I'm messaging people, it's easier for me to use the mic on my phone and speak, because my fingers just go numb. And I get quite clumsy. So I cut my hand the other week at work, completely by mistake. I've done my job for 3 years. And I had a clumsy day and I cut my hand. Fibromyalgia also comes with mental impairment. So we get what's called fibro fog. So we forget things quite easily. We get confused very easily. You wake up some days and I don't know who I am. I don't know where I am. I don't know what's happening. I've walked into my job countless times and I've stood on my department that I've done for 3 years. And I've got no idea what I'm doing at all. I can't work out why I'm there or what I'm supposed to do. And you just get confused. And then on the other hand of that, you get the depression, you get anxiety, all surrounding your fibro. And people only see fibromyalgia as the pain. They don't see everything else that comes with it. And women who have fibromyalgia, your period pains are 1,000 times worse. And people don't understand why. It's your time of your month. You're supposed to go through it. But because you've got fibromyalgia, it feels like your insides are trying to tear themselves outside. It's horrible. Fibromyalgia is really complicated. There are hundreds of different side effects from fibromyalgia. Everyone who suffers is different. Every day with fibro is different. Some days it's my legs that don't work. Some days it's my hands that don't want to work. Some days I have a great day and my pain is manageable and I can do anything I want. But today I have battled. I've barely been able to get out of bed this morning. My legs feel like lead. Sitting in the bath to try and help the pain was so uncomfortable that I gave up. And you get grumpy and you get irritable and you take it out on your loved ones because there's nothing anyone can do. But I'm going to try not to ramble too much. So I'm going to try and stick to some facts. So that's the most common side effects of fibromyalgia. The cause of fibromyalgia is most commonly unknown. There are a few different things that doctors and scientists believe cause fibromyalgia. So one of the main things they think it is due to an abnormal level of chemicals in the brain and a change in the central nervous system. But again, they can't prove it, so they don't know for definite. There's also, they think that it's hereditary. So it does, I believe it is, because it runs in my family. My father has fibromyalgia and so does his dad. My mum's mum has it. and I believe my great-gran had it as well, and obviously I do as well. Sorry, I got it in my leg. There we go. It's also thought that it can be triggered through emotional trauma and physical trauma. So there's a few people that I know that have got fibromyalgia who say that they were fine, and then they had an operation and they woke up and they've never felt the same. There's a couple of people who I know that have been through a horrific breakup or a car crash, and ever since that day they've never felt the same. They've never been able to get rid of the pain, and it's triggered the fibro. So with me personally, there's a bit of conflict in myself with why I have the fibro. So yes, I believe that it's come through the family. There's also, I believe that it could have been triggered through emotional and physical trauma throughout my life. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that because I'm having a bit of a rough day as it is, and I don't really want to trigger anything else. So there is that as well. There isn't a lot of tests to prove fibro. Doctors just have to take our word that we're in pain and we're tired and it won't go away, which is probably what makes it hard to diagnose. But 1 in 20 people on average suffer with fibromyalgia. It is a lot more prominent in women, about 7 times more prominent in women than men. They don't know why that is. Me personally, I think that's just because of the way men are these days. They don't tend to go to the doctors as much. They don't tend to whinge about pain as much. Like, my dad suffered in silence for years and years and years, and worked his ass off for years and years and years, and got so poorly until he finally went to the doctors and got diagnosed. Fibromyalgia typically develops later in life. It's not so common in younger people. So it does tend to develop in your 30s to your 50s, but it is getting younger. So myself, for instance, I was diagnosed at 18, but I have suffered with chronic pain for as long as I can remember. I do battle some days with the thought that I don't actually know what it feels like to not be in pain. I don't. Ever since I was a child, I'd have extreme pains in my legs, my back, I'd get headaches for as long as I can remember, and like doctors would constantly tell me it's growing pains, it's this, it's that, and like my poor mum is sat there like, but my daughter shouldn't be blacking out because of growing pains. It's not fair. Because fibro is so hard to diagnose. So basically all they can do to diagnose fibromyalgia is rule out everything else. It comes down to physically, your joints are fine, your muscles are structurally okay. So there is no other reason why you should be in pain. So doctors tend to go on the fact that if the symptoms have been going on for a long period of time and they're similar, they're not changing, and like changing in your diet, your environment, stuff like that isn't helping, and your blood tests are clear, your x-rays are clear, your CT scans, everything is clear, then they go to fibromyalgia, because there's no blood test, there's nothing to prove it, which I think is what people who suffer battle with it the most, because people don't get it. They're like, but why can't they just do a blood test and go, well, this is what you've got? And I'm like, because it doesn't show up on our blood test. And they're like, oh, well, it's in your head then. But the pain is real. We suffer every day. The simplest tasks are so difficult for us. On our bad days, the simplest tasks we can't do alone, which is scary for us. But unfortunately, we've just got to get on with it. And I get asked all the time, but how do you just get on with it? I've got no choice. This is my life, and I'm not letting it beat me. So on my good days, I'm going to enjoy it. And on my bad days, I'm going to try and laugh about it and have a joke and keep my spirits high. Because at the end of the day, I've got nothing else. I've got to get on with it. If I let this beat me, I'm 22 years old. If I let this beat me now, what life have I got? Like, and people find it hard to see me deal with it as they deem so well. I don't. It's a constant inner battle with my body, with my mind, with everything. That one day, possibly tomorrow, I won't be able to move because the pain is too much. But then the next day, I could run a marathon. And that's the most complicated thing about fibromyalgia, is that it changes so quickly. And I can go from in the middle of a shopping trip, laughing and giggling, and I'm walking fine, to the fatigue gets so bad, I can't move. And it's embarrassing. I'm 22 years old, and I get beaten by a shopping trip. I got beaten by a 4-hour shift at work last night, and it's still beating me now. But I want to keep working. I don't want to be beaten by this. Like, I've got to fight it, but I've got to fight it in my way. Because fibro is not curable, which is what everyone seems to think, that there's a cure out there. There isn't, unfortunately. With fibro, it is managing the pain. There is no tablet that makes it just disappear. So there's medication to help deal with it. So a lot of people with fibromyalgia take antidepressants. So I do. Obviously the pain relief. Unfortunately, in my case at the moment, where I've been on pain relief for so long, my body is starting to reject it. So the painkillers work and they help numb the pain in my body, but they give me a constant headache all of the time. And doctors are getting to the point now where they're like, if there's nothing in your head that's causing these headaches, we're going to have to take your painkillers away from you. And that is terrifying, because they get me out of bed every day. They get me to work. I might not be able to work without my painkillers, and then I'm stuck at home. But there's other things people take. So some people can take muscle relaxants like anti-inflammatories. Unfortunately, I'm allergic to them, which is frustrating, because that does mean that other people whose bodies start to reject like opiate-based painkillers, they can start taking anti-inflammatories. I myself can't, which is frustrating. But hey, we move on with it, and we fight on. Some doctors are also finding that anticonvulsion medication is helping. So seizure medication for epilepsy, in some patients, they find that really helps. And antipsychotic medication also can tend to help quite a lot as well. But that's more dealing with the mental battle that you have once you've been diagnosed with fibro. It's dealing with it every day, because you don't get a break. A lot of people also find talking therapies help. So I go to a fibro group near me every Friday, which is just about 20 of us that go for a coffee. We just have a natter about our week. And it's people who understand, which I think is really important in fibro, is finding other people who understand what you're going through, because it is lonely. And yes, you can have your family around you, but unless they suffer themselves, they can't understand it, because they don't know what it's like to fall asleep at night in pain and hope that you wake up the next morning and you don't feel the same, and you do. I woke up this morning in more pain than I fell asleep in last night. And at 22, that's really hard. But I'm lucky that I've got friends who also suffer, so I can message them in the mornings and be like, look, I've had a really bad night, and I'm really struggling to see what's the point in fighting this every day. And they can support you and they can help you. And it's important to have that outlet. So the fibromyalgia groups all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. I'm on loads. Because when you feel like you're on your own, even when you're surrounded by people, but because they don't know what pain you're going through, they don't get it, they can tell you that it's okay. It's normal. They understand that your fibro is taking everything out of you today. all you want to do is sleep, but you're in too much pain and you can't. And they get that. Because the amount of people that just tell me, just go home and sleep. Go home and lie in bed. I can't. It's uncomfortable. It hurts. And I don't know why. Well, I do. But nothing fixes it. I take the painkillers and they numb it on the bad days. But it's still so painful. But then on my good days, I can do what I want. And people look at me and they're like, well, you fake it. No. At 22 years old, I do not want to be helped to the toilet by my partner. I do not want to get stuck in the bath. I woke up the other morning and I'd fallen asleep on my front and I couldn't move. It's the little things that everyone else takes for granted. The fact that if you're sat downstairs in your house and you need the toilet, you can go upstairs and go to the toilet. People like us can't. Well, we can, but it exhausts us. And then you end up sat on the toilet for 20 minutes because you don't have the energy to get back up. And getting dressed, doing your face in the morning. Hence today, I've thrown my hair up and I haven't bothered because my arms don't have the energy. It's hard. And I feel like it's important for people to see fibro for what it is. And stop hiding it. Because for years I hid the fact I hated using my walking stick. I hated it. It's embarrassing. But I need it. So what? I'm having a bad day, so I got my stick. It's fine. And we need to be able to talk to each other. Support each other. And don't be embarrassed when you've had a bad day and you can't make yourself a cup of tea, you can't brush your own teeth. That's okay. That's part of the fight. That's part of the battle of this. And we need to realise it's okay to ask for help. I am so stubborn. So stubborn. And it is my worst battle I have to fight, is that I have to allow people to help me now. You've got to. You can't do this alone. Because one day your fibro is going to take you down and you're going to need somebody to do the tiny things that you can't do yourself. But then you're going to need somebody on your good days to enjoy it with you. And not pick you down because, well, you must fake your bad days. Because today you're fine. That's what people need to understand about this. That yes, today I can barely move, but tomorrow I could be fine. But I've also got to hold on to that fact. When we're having our bad days, when we've had our bad weeks, months, you have to hold on to the fact that fibro changes so quickly. So quickly. And one day you could wake up and you could feel so good. So good. And it's sad that we have to live for them days. But it's those days is what keeps us going. It's those days that make it worth fighting. I'm sorry I went on a bit on this one. I was going to do part on my mental health as well, but this was hard enough to film as it was. So I think I'm going to leave it and I'll probably do mental health in another couple of weeks or so. Sorry if this got to any of you, but I feel like it's important that people see this for what it is and understand and support each other, because it's so lonely and isolating, and people need to understand that, and people need to support us. We need to support each other. It doesn't matter if you've got fibro or not, any of it, any chronic illness, any mental illness. Just being human. You've got to support everyone. It's hard. It's hard enough living in a day and age on social media and everything where people can be so vile and hide behind a screen and not have to face the consequences. And it's time that changed. So I will be doing videos every now and again about the fibro, about my mental health. I might even do the odd video about bullying and my experiences. But these won't be vlogs. These are going to be me talking to you guys about my personal issues and trying to help other people. I am not doing this as a cry for help. I am not doing this because I want attention and I want views. I am doing this because I'm fed up of people feeling so alone. Because it's not fair. We shouldn't. In a day and age where we are glued to our phones, why on earth do we all feel so alone? So please, any of you need help, need my support, need anything, just need a rant. If you have fibro or not, I don't care. Reach out to me. Reach out to anybody. Your friends, your family, anyone. But if it's okay not to be okay. It is. But you've got to make sure you talk to somebody because you are not on your own. I'm going to leave it here, guys. I hope you have a beautiful day. You are all beautiful humans. And smile. It is contagious. You smile at a stranger and they will smile back. And if they don't, they'll think in their head, what a lovely person. They smiled. I'm a complete stranger and they can see I am not okay and they smiled. Okay, guys? But yeah, stay strong, guys. And thank you for listening. Thank you, guys.